In this video, we're going to show you how Media Cloud handles the entire content workflow, from setting up a project, getting participants registered on location, then uploading the footage into the system later. The demo is intended for project managers and marketing and content teams that are tired of chasing down release forms and digging through folders to find the right footage. Whether you're working with your own in-house content team or bringing in a freelance photographer, we'll cover both scenarios, so let's get started. Before we dig into projects, let's just do a really quick briefing on model contracts and consent forms, because this is what participants will actually sign when you guys go on location to film. So we need to know what type of form to pick for each particular project. For this, we have our dummy account called Solar Inc. First, we go to settings, then consent forms here on the left. And here in the bottom, we have the categories and description of the 4 types of forms we actually have in the system. The first one is our standard consent, and this is a release form that is typically used to register all kinds of participants. Next to that, we have our staff consent, and this is almost identical, but it does have an additional paragraph that describes the relationship between the employer and the employee. So for some companies, this will be very important to have. Next up, our model contract is a basic setup where there's a payment made to the participant, and that of course is very useful so they can't opt out. And lastly, we have our external contract for more complex arrangement where there's maybe an influencer or a professional model that has a contract that's negotiated outside of Media Cloud. And those are the 4 types of forms we need to know. What's important to know here is that the forms are typically set up during your onboarding. And this is with input from your legal team or privacy lawyers. After that, they rarely change. So as a project manager or a photographer, you don't really need to worry about all of these. You just need to know which type to pick for each individual project. But if you want to learn more about privacy and the legal aspects affecting all of this content production, then do visit our YouTube channel, because there we do have a lot of content with great insights on this. So let's go back to the screen here and cover a few other important things worth knowing when you edit a consent form. Each form can have multiple translations and languages that participants can select from, as we can see in the bottom here. Above that, in this drop-down, you'll see that we have the ability to select a duration. And this dictates when the captured footage will expire and become inactive. Then we have our QR code countdown clock in this drop-down, and this dictates how quickly each individual QR code will expire. And this is a security feature that means that the QR code generated on location will expire at a set time. And therefore you need to generate multiple QR codes for each session. And this is to prevent misuse. But we'll see all of this in action shortly, so hang in there. This is probably one of the most important things to understand about how access works in Media Cloud. And overall, we have 2 types of profiles. First up, we have internal users. So in other words, your colleagues that already have an account set up. They can see all the projects, browse folders, see all the content, they can upload footage, they can change metadata, and they have full access to all the data, right? And when they log in on their mobile device using the same credentials, they can generate QR codes for all the projects available, and they can pick whatever form that is needed on location. Nice and flexible. Then when they come back to their computer and they're ready to upload and browse footage, they'll go through the main dashboard and have full access, including a list of the participants that they onboarded during the filming. Then on the other hand, we have freelancers or external crew. And this is a different story, right? They should only have access to what you specifically invite them to. So they don't have full access to all your data. In many cases, they only need access to upload or download specific footage from the projects you assign them. And when they generate QR codes on their mobile device, you can also limit which projects and forms they can use. Maybe limiting the use of expensive model contracts would make sense in many cases. So this is important to understand. In the coming chapters, we'll show you how to manage both types of users and grant them specific access in more detail. All right, let's try to get a quick overview of the project section and see how we can create and set up a new project before we go on location to start to film and register participants. First, we go into settings and then the projects page here on the left. And here we can see all of them, but in 2 different sections. Up top, we have pending, And this is for current active projects that are awaiting approval before they're made public. This could be a project that's waiting for a freelancer to upload stuff, and maybe you want to review and approve it before it becomes available as a public folder. So below we have those public folders that are already approved. They're visible on the main dashboard, and everyone can view and download the footage. So let's try and create a new project. Up on the right here, I'll click the plus button. I'll give it a name. Then we'll see that year has already been pre-selected, and this is of course assuming that we're filming something new. Below that, we have to choose which types of forms that should be available for this project. And this is where limiting our options really matters if we're working with freelancers on this project. If you only need a standard consent form for this shoot, then there's no need to include a model contract with expensive payments. Keep it clean and simple for the external crew. But remember, this limitation is only for freelancers. Internal users will still have full access to all the forms that are set up in the system. Below the forms, we have the folder visibility option. And this determines if the folder should be released for the public already, or if we want to review and manually approve it later when the footage is uploaded. Then we just hit save and the project is created. Next in this pop-up, you'll see the URL here. And this is important because this is what you can email to your freelance crew. They simply follow that link, create a limited access account, and from that point on, they can only access this specific project. Nothing else in your archive is visible to them until you send them more invite links. After we close this page, you can always find the list of invite links here in this section. Otherwise, this page is pretty simple. We can see details like the number of assets that are in each folder, we can see the number of participants that are already signed up, and we can review the folder here before it's made public. And a quick note on this, whenever you see this icon anywhere in the software, you can mouse over and read the explanation. Now let's look at how quick consent technology works and how we can use QR codes to easily get participants registered on location during filming. Here I have two phones set up. The one on the left represents what the crew will be doing, and the one on the right shows exactly what each participant will be doing. Both internal users and freelancers with the right project invite can access the QR code generator with no app installation needed. Everything runs in a browser, just like we see it here. We're already logged in on this device, and we can see the company logo up top. Below that, we have the project name, and this is where we select between the different projects. This is in a sub-menu, as we can see here. And remember, freelancers only see the projects they've been invited to, so internal profiles still have a pretty long list like we see here. Now we can see some more specific details for the particular project. The company name, who created the project, we can see the available types of forms, and we can also tap into this section and actually see what the participant will be shown for each of the forms that they scan. This includes the text and the available language translations that are in this drop-down. Now this is an easy way for crew to read and check what the participants are signing in case they need to. Lastly, we can see the list of participants that are already signed up for this project, but it's also a great way for the crew to check that everyone's registered correctly. Now let's go back and generate a QR code here in the bottom. Then I simply select the right form that we want to use. Afterwards, the unique QR code is generated, and below is that countdown clock that we did talk about earlier. Below that is the option to copy the code. This could be in rare cases where the crew needs to text or email people the code manually. Then above that, we see the specific form that participants are shown, and that's it. That's it on the crew side. So let's talk about the participant registration next. The overall idea here is that multiple participants can register at the same time using their own phone. This will make it a lot easier for the busy crew. Let me show you how. First, each participant scans the QR code to start signing. Here in the top, we can see the title, and we can expand to read the entire legal text. On the right, the drop-down here menu shows the different translations that are available for each particular form. So let's scroll down, then we go back, and below is where each participant enters their name plus email, then they take a selfie, but let's do a quick jump cut on this. Below is the option to register as a minor and thereby provide additional names and contact details for the actual legal guardian. But let's skip this for now. Then here in the bottom, we accept the terms by clicking, and then the participants simply swipe to confirm. Once we see this big green check mark, we're all good, and this is the easy visual confirmation to show the crew that the participant is completely registered. One quick note on minors, by the way. If the participant is under your age threshold, according to the policy set by your company, then the extra contract fields appear for the parent or legal guardian to give their proper authorization and signature. When participants register as minors, then Mediacloud will actually show a yellow check mark instead of the green one, so the crew can easily be aware. Once filming is done, the footage needs to be uploaded to Mediacloud using a computer. And we do have a great video that covers this process in more detail on our YouTube channel. But just know there are two very different ways depending on who's uploading. Let's take a look. First, we have internal users. They can use the standard upload section in the main dashboard if the project is already set to public. Pick the shoot date, simply select the folder and any optional metadata, drag and drop your files. This can be a mixture of both videos and stills in the same upload, it's all fine. Again, our YouTube video covers all this, plus tips on sorting, encoding, and etc. For freelancers, the upload flow is technically the same, but there are some key differences in the limitations on their access. So let's take a look. After they log in, they can only see their assigned projects in this list here. They can't browse the rest of your archive, obviously. And after upload and tagging is complete, they can add the participants to each clip and then hit save to complete the handover. This triggers a notification email that is sent to the manager of the account, and this states that the project has been completed by the freelancer. This particular approval workflow is often used in situations where the in-house team wants to review and approve the footage before it's released for use. So let's jump back and revisit the projects page really quick. Here on the right-hand side, we see our pending projects. We can see this review button, and we can see the multiple participants and assets are already here for our approval. So let's do a quick check. We can browse all the assets using the blue arrows here in the top. And we can also make changes if we use the edit button. And when everything looks right, we simply go back to the previous page and make the entire folder public. So it'll show up on the main dashboard. So that's the entire workflow and the important details you need to know in order to manage all of your source footage and release forms in Mediacloud.ai. Thanks for watching, and do remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we'll keep adding a lot of great content. Thank you.